thrills my soul is Jesus. Go back to the chorus slide, if you would, Josh. That one right there. And that's what I want to focus on, because that kind of, it grabs the song. There's a phrase, and I think it's a phrase that's only used in King James, where Jesus says our intimacies and ecstasies. I love that phrase. In other words, everything that makes us happy, everything that thrills us, all that thrills my soul is Jesus. Just sing that phrase and think about what that really means. Let's sing just that phrase. All that thrills my soul is Jesus. Oh, did you feel thrilled? I wasn't sure about the thrill. Let's do that again. All that thrills my soul is Jesus. He is more than life to me. Tell you what, let's do it real big right now. Let's think about the George Beverly Shea style. Real big. All right, the whole chorus there. Oh. To the next song. Y'all be seated. Eddie found this song, arranged it, wrote a really nice arrangement, and gave me the privilege of singing it. So we're going to share it with you tonight. He give us more grace. Giveth more
Okay, if you were a part of the on-site team that went down to LR, if you'll come on up, please. We're going to gather around here and have a little chat here. Keith, Ryan, do not leave Addie by herself. Here comes Rusty. Let's see. I don't think Rod or Rich are here. You want to sit there? Okay. Be in the middle. Josh is sitting on mine and then off. We're all going to share. All right. We, as you know, we got a letter from Lenore Ryan, and they asked us if we wanted to bring a team down on their faith and spiritual event. And we'd never been down. We'd never done that before. And so we began asking if anybody wanted to go, if anybody felt led to go. These guys went. Amanda went. Anna went, and Scott Blackwood went with us. So that was the team that you guys sent down there. And we had a lot of fun, to be honest with you. But we didn't know what to expect. We got there, and we were, I think a couple teams were new to it as well. And so, but we came more prepared than they did, I think. The table beside us looked kind of desolate. But we got there, and we began looking around, seeing what God was doing. And then we decided that we needed to not just stand at a table, because we noticed that the kids knew where the entrances were to the student union without coming through in front of all of our tables. And so we divided up, and Rusty, and we'll talk about what he and Anna did. They went on away from most of us and had some great opportunities to witness and pray. Scott and Ryan and Keith, and first I think Addie and Amanda all went to the student center, and then I think Addie and Amanda stayed and helped me with the table. And so we spread out and fanned out and had some great opportunities. Let me ask you guys, and just start whoever wants to. Addie, what did you expect? What were you thinking you were getting into? What did you think was going to happen when you going down there?
Well, I didn't know what to expect. I just thought it was going to be tons of churches. So I didn't expect to be, like, there was all the what they call para-churches there as well on campus. So I don't know. I know I learned one thing. College kids love food. They love food.
I guess for me, I really wasn't thinking about too much other than when we got there, I was kind of picturing what I'd seen maybe at NC State, where there was just places set up in the courtyard and kids would pass through, and sometimes, they'd stop. But I wasn't really expecting it. I wasn't thinking about it being so close at Lenore Ryan and being in a place that was kind of out of the way of where the kids were trying to walk anyways.
Okay, Ryan?
I didn't really know what to expect. I actually thought we were just going to stand there and wait for everybody to come to us, and it didn't happen. So
Okay.
we had to take it in our own hands and do something different.
I can't hardly see my crew back there if they want to move up.
He needs to know his support teams. They're going up, guys.
Going
Going up,
this is
guys.
whatever. College kids.
We can't hear you. You got to come up at least the voice.
Well, as for me, with my job, I do some events like career days and stuff in high schools and middle schools. So I kind of had a little bit of an idea of probably how it was going to go. I've never ever, I don't think, ever heard of a church doing anything like this, but I kind of approached it because I guess Gary had a little, probably the least amount of information as anybody. And of course, we had even less information about it because, when we got there, I see these churches with the banner things. It's kind of like their church name or whatever. It's kind of like we have that at work, so we use them at work. But I never even imagined that a church would have stuff like, we have to promote our work. But that's a perfect thing if they did it more like at different churches. But I think it's a great concept, and I never really realized, man, Lenore Ryan is just really close and never thought that, you know, kids don't have a car to come to church. And so I thought it was a great idea to go somewhere that was so local to promote our church to college kids.
So Keith, what did you gain from this experience? What came out of it that really you thought was where you saw God moving, or maybe whatever you want to share there?
Okay. And I may think of something else as we go through the line, but one thing that I really liked was just being able to do something together with people I don't do a lot with. I mean, like Addie and Rusty. I know we all go to church together, and myself and Ryan probably the closest of the group, and then, add Scott, because we all got something in common, and we've been, friends for a very long time. But to be able to go with, like I said, Rusty and Anna, Addie, even Amanda, Rich showing up, we do, some handyman things or something like that. But to be able to go with a common, goal in hand, in our mind. Was you going to say that too? Okay, sorry. You can repeat it.
I'm going to separate you.
But to have, just us to do something together, with a lot of uncommon, I guess, bonds. I mean, we're all friends, I hope. Rusty, you my friend? It's a, maybe not.
That's still out. Go.
But to be able to go and do that, so that's one of the. I mean, and I know I was wanting to go to share with college students and whoever, but I got a lot out of being with these guys and being able to do something together, because we don't do a whole lot with this group. It's just there was just different people involved, and next was just being able to be in there, and and it's not a big deal to take a few hours off of work, but for one, you're kind of sacrificing your day to go down there, and then sharing with these kids. So sacrificing for God, then going down there and speaking with each one of them. It was fun. I mean, it started off a little slow, but then for me it got really fun, and a few of us got laughs. We were kind of joking around a lot too. I mean, we had kind of the silly group with me, him, and Scott, but ultimately that's what was good about it, being with each other, then going and doing the stuff for the kids.
I mean, how am I supposed to follow that? I don't even know what your question was now. Can you repeat that question? Well, you did. I think
What did you get out of it?
Not just what you get out of it, yeah.
I mean,
How did God speak to you?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's one of the things that I like doing. I like cutting up with people I don't know. It's because you never know if you're going to see them again. If you don't, it's no big deal. So I like cutting up with people I don't know. I got a lot out of it. I enjoyed being with the group here. As like Keith said, we all had a common goal, which was, to me, was interesting, because I don't hang out with the other ones like I am with Keith all the time. So it was nice to have a common goal amongst all of us, and you just kind of bonded over that goal. And so that's kind of
We pretty quickly asked Rusty and Ann if they would go over to another part of the campus. We could see them. They were close. They had the girls with them as well. I forgot to mention that, and they actually were a great blessing, because when you give kids brownies and cookies and a brochure from Warlick's, and they run up to other students, they can't say no to them. And then Rusty and Anna were following them, of course, and was with them and got a chance to talk to them. So we got back, and I asked Rusty Wednesday night, I said, in fact, we got a picture of Rusty praying with the guy. And I said, tell me a little bit about the prayer thing you had with this guy. And he said, which one? And I said, what do you mean, which one? He said that you guys had probably a dozen or more between you and then Anna, the students they got to pray with. So talk a little bit about what you experienced and what you saw the need there on the campus with those kids.
Well, I guess with those kids, I wasn't expecting many of them to stop and allow us to talk with them. But I guess when the girls ran up to them with the brownies and the cookies, they took that, and by that time they were kind of stopping. And then we would just ask, can you spare a minute? Can we talk with you? And we just kind of briefly go over who we were and what we were trying to do, because we were trying to reach out to the 18 to 25-year-olds, and we don't have too much of a program for that right now, but we need people to come. And then we'd always end it with, is there anything we can pray with you about? And that's something I learned from Adam Rawls. It wasn't, can I pray for you? It was, can I pray with you? And to my surprise, so many of them just said yes. And then they would give us different things that we could pray with them for. I jotted down a few of them. Like, there were lots that asked for just like pray for studies, that kind of thing. But remember, there was a pair of girls that asked to pray for guidance. There was one that had us pray for his father who was losing his job. And then another for his sister in high school who has learning disabilities. Another one whose sister's going to be a freshman in college, and he was worried about her. Then there was another guy from California. He wanted us to pray for his marriage. And, that kind of struck me, because I wasn't expecting to have someone ask to pray for their marriage, at all. But in general, just for someone to be married, going through college. Then we got to pray with another girl who was, her mom had a cyst on her ovaries, and she was going to have surgery the next day. And then there was another with a grandson, or had a grandson who just committed suicide. So to me, there was all these people that were just walking around us, and to us, it was just people trying to dodge us at first, and we didn't really want to talk to them, but we were just doing it, probably not for God or for ourselves, probably because Gary asked us at first. But at the end of it, it was a blessing, because we got to see that there's so much of a need, just right there, and they were willing to respond, and they were open to letting us talk with them and to pray with them. So for me, it was a blessing in that.
We're just kind of going over in general. I know you got to go back with the kids in a minute, so share anything you want to share about your experience, what you expected, what happened.
Okay, so I'm going to avoid eye contact probably as much as possible. I told Gary I'd rather get up here and dance than have to talk in front of people. But, what was that, Wednesday morning? All right. So, like when your kids are just having an off day, just an absolutely terrible off day. We get here, they're whining about something. Emma starts like bleeding out of 2 of her fingers because she scrapes it on the wall outside. So I'm just thinking, this is going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to get there. It's just going to be awful. And I told Gary to begin with, because he had asked us both to go. I told him, I said, don't you want to just like pick one of us, because, the girls are going to have to go because there's nobody to watch them. He's like, I think that's a great idea. Go ahead and bring them. Yay. So we got there. Sarah's starving because she wants to eat 24/7, So, yeah. Yeah, so we get there, and about her 5th brownie in, we decided to go to we got there, we set up our table. It was cool. We were late because, cops. But we got there, we set up our table, and it was basically, I don't know if y'all talked about this, but it's just a large section that was set up for all different types of churches to come in and talk about their churches, try to get people involved. So we got there, we set up, we were looking around, reminded me of college days, people I tried to avoid all the time because I don't want to get caught up in any of that while I'm on the way to class. So automatically we grabbed some stuff and just went away from everybody, because I knew if we sat there, I wasn't talking to anybody because I was in the safety of everybody around me. So we grabbed a pound of brownies and some info, some pamphlets, and went out and used the girls because we had both of them with us. And by that time, they were in an all right mindset. We got some brownies in them, and 10 o'clock in the morning. Got some brownies in them. They started passing stuff out, started handing brownies out to people, cookies out to people. And then it was easy for one of them to hand a brownie, the other one hand pamphlets. So we started doing that. And probably about 10, 15 people in, we were able to actually start talking to people, build up my courage a little bit. Rusty jumps right in, of course, because nothing intimidates him. But started praying over people. And I think once he started doing that, I kind of took that to heart too, and like, this is why we're here. We're not here to give these people some cookies because they're hungry, like, we need to be intentional about this. God, we're already here spending our time doing this. Let's get down to it. So started praying over some people, and like I said, begin with, kids were awful, and then once we got there, it's just like, God took over. He knew what we needed. He knew that our hearts need to be calmed, and we used them to our advantage, I think. And it was, for me, that was an impact too, because when we went to pray with people, our girls were amazing. They stood there, they held hands, they closed their eyes, they bowed their heads, they prayed with us. They weren't screaming, they weren't, bleeding on people. They were just, they were just little disciples. It almost seemed like, were we too close? But it reminded me of the Labor Day message, or the before Labor Day message of, you go out there, you think, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to give these people to offer. But God's got you, He's got your back no matter what. Like, He enables you to be able to do that, even if you don't feel like you are able to do that. So, I think I'm good.
I think when I got there, I was thinking that people were just going to come to us, and we were going to talk, and everything was going to be good, and that's not really what happened. And I watched these two go and bust up the student union, and we kind of went, and I was like, so I was able to come out of my comfort zone a little bit, because if I know you, I'll speak to you. If I don't, I'm just very shy. So we were able to kind of come out of our comfort zone a little bit. But after we did that, and they just kept in there, and they kept going to these students, because like I said, I'm sitting here thinking, well, this is going to be fun, and everybody's going to come to us, and it didn't work out that way. You could just see people, going around. But one of the biggest things, and I have just chewed and chewed and chewed and chewed on this. I got to talk, and I don't remember his name. He was from the InterVarsity.
Yeah, Greg Little.
Greg Little, okay. I got to talk with him. We ended up kind of being buddies. He had 6 kids. We had a lot in common. And we were talking a lot about the InterVarsity, the different parachurches, and his passion that was, of course, what he did, but his passion was to get these kids in local churches, because that's where they need to be. And so we got to talk a lot about that. But something he said to me I don't know, it's just been sitting on me since we've been. And he said, these kids are not looking for faith. And they weren't. A lot of them were just busybody. And some of the things that kind of stood out was the numbers in some of those groups. Because I was thinking, well, I would think with a school like this, you'd have lots of members in these groups. And it wasn't so. So that just put a burden on my soul to one, when we send our kids out, to make sure that they're in local churches, and of course to be praying for them. But when these kids, we've got all these colleges around here that these kids aren't plugged in, and they got a mama or daddy praying for them to be plugged in somewhere. So it got us out of our comfort zone a little bit, to be praying for them. But also, we have a great, youth student discipleship place that we're training, so when these kids go out, that it's their faith, and that they'll be taking the next steps, and they know what those next steps are already before they walk out the door. So just seeing those kids on campus, I never got the experience of college life, but just seeing them really just kind of made a burden on my heart for them a little bit more.
So when you were talking to Greg, because I knew you guys connected and were talking, I think each of us probably had a chance to talk with him. So he said they're not looking for faith. So that's just not, what do you think he meant by that?
I just think that this discussion was a lot of times when kids step out of their homes, they're in so much freedom. And that when they're at their home, their faith is their parents, and that their faith is what they're used to. But when they step out, whether it's states away or counties away, that their faith is tested, or maybe it wasn't their own. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
There was a huge burden with that. To me and it goes to where our kids here, and the kids we send off, and our local colleges, because they hit the world as soon as they walk out the door.
So you guys probably encountered as many or more than any of us. What did you get? What was kind of the heartbeat of the kids? Was there any one college kid that stood out to you that you went, wow, I'm really committed to praying for this guy or this girl? I really was moved by what I saw in their life.
Well, none of them would really kind of stop and talk to you anyways. Where we were set up, we had I told Keith we call it the fatal funnel. They couldn't get around us. There was no way they was getting around us. We had Scott on one side, Keith on the other, and then I had the cookies. And if they were trying to get around us, we'd back up and make sure that they saw us. We wouldn't let them get past us. But most of them would just, they'd take the cookie, and of course, Keith talks to all the big boys and says, you need to carb up. And they're like, no, I don't want to. He said, yeah, you need to carb up. And they're like, okay, yeah, I do need to carb up. So I guess the only one that really stuck out in our mind was, and I can't remember her name, the blonde-headed girl. Yeah. She come up from the cafeteria, I guess that's what it was. And, of course, she tried to get around me. And I stuck the cookies behind my back. And I said, here, take a cookie. She said, I don't want one. I said, they're free. And she said, I don't want one. I said, all college kids like stuff for free. She said, I'm going to the bathroom, and I don't want to take the cookie in there. I said, okay, we'll just come back and get it. Well, she come out, and she got the cookie, and she asked us what it was about. Did she say what it was about? Okay, so she got the old pamphlet, and she went down there, and I think Keith said, well, here, take another cookie for your roommate. She said, I don't have roommates. He said, well, take one for your friends. She said, I don't have any friends. And she walked on down there, and so we didn't think anything else about it. And she come back about...
Actually, we did. We thought she was rude.
That's right, we did. We did say, yeah, so well, yeah. It's kind of rude. No, that was the one that did this. That was that one. But anyways, she come back like 30 minutes later, and she said, so what are you guys about? And we were telling her what we were about, and she was all interested in the praise team. But I think Keith said, well, did you read the pamphlet? She said, yeah, actually, I did read the pamphlet. And that, to me, was a blessing, because I think out of the 200 kids that actually took one, she was the only one that come back and said that she had read something. So did I answer your question? I think I did answer your question. Okay.
Want to hear more about her?
Well, that's the one that stuck out.
Yeah.
But she did. She come across as, very standoffish. But I had to give it to her. She did come back to us and say, "Hey, look, I got some questions. I read your pamphlet," and I thought, "Okay, she's hardcore, man, because she already bucked up on 3 of us guys, and then here she comes with some attitude about wanting to ask questions." But then after she got to talking, she was really nice. You could tell that she's searching for something, and I'm glad that we were at least able to speak to one out of, like you said, I think 200, because I didn't really think about what Addie said until she just said it. But when she made the comment about they're not looking for faith, because it's just they're kind of, I guess they're thinking about going to class. Because almost all the kids, we're like, he's got a pan of cookies, and I got brochures, Scott's got brochures, and we got bags. We're standing like almost right in their way, and it's like they're not even seeing us, and they've got, I guess, one thing on their mind, like I said, to get to class, or they got to go study, or I got to go eat. I don't know what it is, but we literally had to almost get right up in their face. It seemed like most of them, just to hand them something. But for the most part, all of them was receptive in taking it, and what they did it from there. We were more about quantity, I guess, not quite as quality as Rusty, but we were there to pass out some cookies and some pamphlets, and hopefully, a couple of the few hundred that we passed them out to grasped it. But going back to this girl. She started talking about wanting to sing in a praise team, and she had sung in the group. I think it was a rock and roll group or something. She said she didn't like it, but she gets her. She worships through music, and kind of the praise music type stuff. And I said, well, let me go introduce you to my pastor. And then so I took her outside, and I introduced her to Gary, and they got to talking, and I think she ended up being Eddie Little's neighbor or something, from the same area, or I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure. Where are you from? Are you? Where are you? Yeah.
She's 2 houses down, which is about 3 miles where I live.
Well, so we got somebody that can go covertly follow up. Okay, good. Thanks for volunteering for that, Eddie. But yeah, so once we got done, I tried to approach, because I thought, man, I haven't really got to engage in conversation with anybody, but this girl that came across is very rude at first. So I said, well, here's my opportunity. So I said, can I pray with you? And she kind of looked at me like, man, that's weird. But I said, okay, well, I don't necessarily have to pay for you right now because it's obvious that you don't want that. But would you have something for me to pray about? So she started going into a conversation about, you know, her dad and her mom, and she wants them in the church. They're not in the church, but she genuinely, I think, wants to be in some house of worship, a church, singing, and her parents being there. So I thought, well, you know, after, you know, what Addie just said about not the faith thing, you know, this kid has got that on her mind, her parents on her mind, her wanting to be in a church to sing on her mind. So this stuff is on their mind. It's just taking people to, I guess, engage in them and then bringing it out in them, bringing that out. But like I said, that might have been the only one we talked to a few just short burst of promoting our church, I guess, and they were not. I think there was maybe one girl that was the only one that didn't get a cookie or pamphlet in her hand, and I mean she was like putting her hand. She didn't even want to make eye contact, but we kind of chased her a little ways, and and then I could see a grin though whenever on her face. She was real like mad looking at first, and but most of them, like I said, they would ask how much the cookies were, because I don't think they would have took it if they had to pay, because they were looking for something free. And then when we got outside, we started passing out some water, so everybody was thirsty in my eyes. So I made sure that they knew that they needed to hydrate and that they looked thirsty. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. You know, as I think back on that experience that we had, if we could just get the kids to stop by and talk to us, then we could engage them. I found out that several of them went to church and what organizations they were involved in, whether it was FCA or InterVarsity or whatever, and then just some of the struggles that Addie said was true, that you've got Cru, FCA, InterVarsity, and several other Christian organizations on the campus at Lenoir-Rhyne, and yet one had 15 members, and I think FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, had about 30 to 50, they said. You know, so it is considering the population of the campus, it was rather small for those groups. But what you said was interesting about the faith thing, because I think if we could stop them and get them one-on-one, then they were more open to talk to us. They wanted to avoid the right, but we would send them over to the booth or over to the table that we were at, and then we would try to engage them there. And it was interesting. If you just paid some attention to them and listened, they would tell you all kinds of stuff. And so I think that's part of the key that I certainly learned from that is just like what you guys did. If we can get them, if we go back next year, if they invite us back next year, they're not used to Baptists on the campus, I think, and we just kind of took over. But if they invite us back next year, then I think one of the things that we're going to even do is spread out even more and try to get more engaged in some one-on-one conversations with them, and like Rusty and Anna did, because I think that was very successful. The guy from InterVarsity, I met him and talked with him, and he happened to be, when we went to have lunch at Chick-fil-A, he happened to be up there, and he seemed to be the most promising connection. He said that he was looking for churches that were interested in having that age group come, and because many of them are away from home, some of them are pretty far away from home, and so if we were interested in them, he was certainly interested in bringing a group to us. And he also said if we would provide a meal for them after church, that he could get more of them to come. And you know, I know there was a church in Raleigh that did that. They actually would invite the kids in, and then they would feed them, and or different people would take them out for lunch or whatever. And they grew into a really large college group because of the fact that these kids are away from home. They're looking for fellowship. They're looking for opportunities, but you got to have something to draw them in, kind of. And I think, you know, a meal is a good thing. And so we were talking about doing that too. And he's supposed to call us and let us know when when he's going to bring, because we said, let us know in advance, and we'll try to have some food for him after church and everything. So we may see, we may see something happen there. We may see some kids come, and we may see a ministry started. My biggest concern is over the last 3 or 4 years, I've really felt that we needed to start some type of ministry for the 18 to 25-year-olds. We have a large group ourselves, but we don't have anything specifically for them. We've got a great teacher, as I wrote about in the newsletter, in Doug Webb, and now we've got a group of people that have volunteered that we're beginning to start getting a ministry toward that group. And we were very honest with those guys, and we told them up front that we did not have an 18 to 25. If they wanted to be in on the start of one, helping us develop it, then they were more than welcome to come. And we would certainly like their ideas. So hopefully we're going to see some results from that as well. We've got a few more minutes. Peyton, do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, my grandpa told me to shut up.
Well, it's okay. I'm recognizing you now.
Don't be scared of him.
He don't like, I'm not. He don't like attention, you know what I mean? Which I'm not in. I feel like God's calling me to say something. I think the word you're looking for is common ground.
Yeah.
If I find common ground with everybody that can try to get the road to God, I think, because I fail a lot because I was around a lot of bad people and I changed my life and they laugh at me, and then someone come in, but you have to have common ground. You have to have something that builds trust, that makes them feel comfortable enough for them to tell you their testimony.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I think that an 18 to 25-year-old group would be awesome. This is not full. It is Sunday evening. You know what I mean? We should have more people in here. And I haven't been here a long time, and I know that. But I love this place. This is my place of peace. From the time I was 16, 17, you know what I mean? John Jolly showed me how God loved me and accepted me. And no matter what, although my mother and father forsake me, the Lord shall receive me. And that is what we need to tell people, because there is a lot of people with broken people.
Yeah.
And it's sad. But I'm totally willing to be a part of that.
Okay, great. Anybody else got any questions you want to ask anybody about what they experienced?
Okay, I think we got one in the back here. I
Back
can't
in the
hardly see
back.
her, but I think I see her hand up.
Back in the dark back there. Okay, go ahead.
You mentioned parachurches. What's involved in becoming a parachurch on campus, like having a program there that we go to campus and pull some people?
I don't know what's involved because when she said parachurch, she's talking about organizations like Crew, Campus Crusade for Christ, what it used to be, as you know, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and a varsity. So they've already got those clubs or groups, whatever, established. I don't know what you would have to do to establish a new group that would say, for example, do a Bible study. Probably what you're going to have to do there is you're going to have to connect with some of the kids and then say, hey, would you like to have a Bible study in the student center or, wherever, and then get something like that started. So I don't really know the answer to your question without us contacting them. And then you'd have to have some really committed people that wanted to go in and do activities, do studies, provide transportation and all that. So it would be a very big undertaking. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm just saying we need to count the costs, think about who's going to be involved and who can do it, because you can't just not show up, if you've got something scheduled there. That's a great question, though. Go ahead.
One of the things, because I'd never had the college experience, I kind of was like, excuse me if I'm naive, but I was talking to Mr. Little, but he, because this was just InterVarsity, so there were other groups, but I was talking to him mainly, and I was like, can other people be a part of this? Do they have to be enrolled at LR? And if you're a college enrolled student, at least in that group, you could join and go on campus for the small group Bible studies and stuff like that. It might be, in putting some of our own into that to bring them back. I know one of the things he mentioned was they had a special nursing group within InterVarsity that met on Tuesday afternoons only for nursing students, because it was so a rougher major. And I was thinking of Tanner or thinking of some of these nursing students. As long as they're enrolled in a college, they can attend. So that, we can even get our students involved in that and to bring some back, or be able, make the connections that maybe we couldn't even make.
Okay, that's a good point. Any other questions? Yes, sir, Bill.
In the studies that our seniors, junior yet. So are we preparing our children personally in this church for that kind of attitude toward a group coming in, say, wherever they may attend college? While they're at college?
Kevin, you're helping Brian a lot. You want to answer that?
You need the mic, Kevin, or are you good?
I think so. I mean, I didn't get to go to camp with them to the huge camp. I think that helps a lot. And I think it is a process, but I think the biggest impact is what happens. Because we can, I mean, I think that's the biggest struggle because it's hard to teach them, the 2 hours a week that you have them exactly how to do it. I mean, I think it's a good supplement. We try to, Ryan's worked really, really hard to make sure they understand the foundation. Right now, he's going through the salvation thing tonight and the past several weeks, so that they understand what they believe. And on Wednesday nights, we've even started talking about other religions and what they believe, so that they can approach somebody and have a general knowledge of what they believe, and so they can approach a Mormon and understand, well, they believe this way, so this is how my Christianity is more important, is more valuable, is the truth compared to what they believe. So I think there is value, but I think the bigger impact is that whole being at home and what people experience.
Well, one of the things too, we talked with Matt personally. I think you had talked with him, and he was talking about if he's the crew guy that we help support them some in New York, and one of the things he said was that it's so important to learn what other people believe, because you've got, as you're saying, you got to have some common ground. You got to understand what they believe and where they're coming from, so you can show them how the Christian faith is different. So I think in the study that they're engaged in now, in learning about different faith groups and even different denominations, gives them some solid ground that when they talk to somebody, they're not going to be intimidated or fearful of that. Addie, you know what's going on too there. Do you want to share anything about getting these kids, the 11th and 12th grade, all the youth prepared for the next steps?
Yeah, I mean, we don't differentiate between a 6th grader and a 12th grader in their faith and where they lie. I mean, so Brian, I've just seen Brian's hearts for discipleship, and if we've seen anything, or if his heart, God's impressing on him, is that these kids are ready, but that their faith is theirs and strong, and that they know why they're saved, that they know they are saved, that they know, all the stuff the world that throws at them and the lies, that they can match all that theology. So he's taught heavy theology. But then I think the kids, even on Wednesday night, it was their idea, wasn't it, to do, I say kids, they're as big as me. But it was even their idea to do those. So I think it's definitely both ends. But I know on even Sunday mornings with the D6 and all that stuff, that's a way to bring it home and for the parents to be involved in the weekly things. I know Brian sends emails for everything they do tonight. There should be an email to discuss with your child and stuff. So some good just resources to work on that and build.
Okay.
But I think, Bill, what you're saying too is, like, I think it would be good that, if they're able to do, if we get more of this going on, if they can go with us to see us model that and stepping out. I mean, because I think that's important. I mean, they're going to learn by a teacher and actually doing it and getting out, because we can stand up there and teach them all day. This is how you witness, but until they're actually there and watch somebody step out in faith and go talk to somebody that has boldness. So I think it would be good to get them more involved.
And then see what we're doing also, Bill, just to let you know, with the children, is going to build into this. But we did a craft Monday night. They're doing physical fitness last Wednesday night we're doing physical fitness. This coming Wednesday night, there's always devotion with it. But then missions night, we're going to do a couple of things with that. One is we're going to take them somewhere. We're going to take them sometimes to a shut-in's house, sometimes to a nursing home, sometimes to maybe a soup kitchen or somewhere like that, to get these younger kids exposed to going out and sharing, seeing it happen, doing that. So that's one of the things that we're already plugging in with even the younger children so that they're going to be more solid. We may even invite some missionaries in to talk with that group as well and share that we find it on leave to share with them what goes on. And so we want them to experience it. We want to get as many people as we can out of the sanctuary, out of the classroom, and out into the world doing things. And that's all levels. That's not just our kids. That's our adults as well. So that's kind of the vision that we have. That's part of what I think discipling is. And so that's sort of where we're going with that. So that's a great question. Susie, you want to ask something?
I know just from the experience that Dax had when he went off to state, and he was kind of like what you added said about they weren't looking for faith, but he had Cody to draw him into Antioch. And Antioch was such a wonderful transition church because it was geared towards students and had the motivational for students. And we had the opportunity to go visit Antioch when we go visit Dax. And it's such, the atmosphere, I mean, it's so welcoming for the students. And I feel like we've kind of got a gap here for that age group, for when they come home, that they kind of flounder, that they don't feel like they have anywhere to plug into once they've gone off to college and come back. And is that kind of what you're looking to have?
What we're trying to do is we're trying to keep them connected. We have a place. We have a Sunday school class, and Doug does an excellent job. And he's been in there for 3 or 4 years now. But what we found is that just having, because you build it doesn't mean they're going to come. And so what we have to do is we have to have some events that will draw them all together, that will bring them in, because at that age it's pretty much event driven. So that's one of the reasons we got this ministry team together, is that we're trying to get some of those guys on the team as well and say, what are you looking for? What do you want? What kind of events? So that we can have some stuff. We've got a Christian Life Center that, I know that if we take some time and plan a pretty good event with music and food and stuff, we can send that out to LR, and we can probably see quite a few of those kids as well as ours come in. So we're just now getting started. And just trying to see where God's going to lead us with that. But we felt like this was a good opportunity for us to go out and learn something and talking to these kids and everything. And I think we all agree that we did. We saw some real needs in the hearts of these kids, and which gives us a chance to really, again, pray and see where God's doing. We made a connection with the guy from InterVarsity who works with kids all the time, that we're going to try to bring him and plug him in a little bit with our leadership team so that we can get some ideas from him as well and see maybe if we can connect with them, because they seem to be more open than anybody, and that's who God kind of brought us to. So there's a lot of good things going on, a lot of good opportunities. I know we're past the 7 o'clock hour, and I know some people have to get some kids. So anybody got any last question or any last thing you guys want to say? Back here, okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, excellent idea. Yes. Mm-hmm.
We had a great experience yesterday. It was for Shorty's age, but they had a free event. They did like a little necklace or something. So I could definitely see Bowen and Scott going and doing like burpees or something, having a challenge, and really attracting some of those younger people in, but really getting creative with our promotional aspect of that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So any ideas you have, again, that team is still open. If you feel led to be a part of it, then let me know. We'll add you to the team. We're going to start we're going to start meeting now to kind of figure out where we're going to go in the direction God's leading us. So we'll be happy for you to be a part of that, and it's exciting. It was a good experience for us, I think. We all would agree. And we as these guys said, we kind of went in different directions. And what you find is if you can isolate the kids, they will open up. You can pray with them, as I said earlier. Sometimes it's just showing them attention and giving them something. And hopefully there's a lot of bags on LR's campus that says Warlicks Baptist Church. There's a lot of cups out there that has Warlicks on it. There's a lot of literature. We passed out over 200 of the ones that Tess designed, and probably another 40 or 50 of that other one that we designed. So there's probably 240, 250 pieces of literature on the campus now. The good and neat thing was that they were very open. There were various denominations that were there, and they were very open to us as Baptists being on a Lutheran campus, which I was well pleased with that. Anybody else? Anything else you guys want to say before we close? Anything? Any last question?
One other thing, what would you do differently next year?
What would I do differently next year? I think what I said earlier. I think we would spread out more over the campus. You know, we'd have the booth, we'd have the table, but then we would go with an understanding that if we can stop a kid one-on-one, and we can get them, I'd probably take more children. I really would, because it's good for the children. I mean, these girls got an experience that I think is great. When we were, even before we were in ministry, if we went with the youth somewhere, and Carrie was a baby, we took her with us everywhere we went like that. So it was easy for her to do that. I think what Kevin said is right. You know, sometimes we want to have somebody take care of the children, when I think sometimes it's to our benefit for them being there. And everything. So I would hope we'd get a bigger team. They were impressed. We had the largest team there. You know, the guy from InterVarsity said, "I'm impressed at how many people you brought from your church."
You love kids.
Yeah.
Got all these people.
Yeah. And yeah. As Addie said, he said, "You guys have to love kids because you got all these people here." So I think we'd like to expand the team, and we'd like to be more. All over the campus. I mean, who knows? We might walk into a dorm or something next time. Who knows? All right. Appreciate you guys. Eddie, you want to come and let's sing one last song to close us out? And if there's any decisions that need to be made, we'll give you that opportunity to come now. And guys, thank you for sharing. If you'll give Eddie a mic, and let's go back to our seats. You know, maybe you feel led to be part of this team. Next time, or part of the team that's developing the 18 to 25s. If you do feel led to, write me a note, hand it to me if you go out the door. If you tell me, I'll probably forget, because people tell me 100 things when they go out the doors. But we'd love for you to be a part of it. If you can't be a part of the team, but you got suggestions, go ahead and email me those suggestions. You can say, "Hey, I can't do this right now, but here's something I think is a good idea," and so we'll be glad to do that. If you've got something you want to pray about, if you want to pray about this ministry, the altar is always open. I'm here to pray with you if you'd like to. Eddie, what are we singing?
The Nail-Scarred Hand.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Let's stand as we sing. Have you failed in your plan of your storm-tossed life? Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. Are you weary and worn from its toil and strife? Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. He will keep to the end. He's your dearest friend. Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. Are you walking alone through the shadows dim? Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. Christ will comfort your heart. Put your trust in Him. Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. He will keep to the end. He's your dearest friend. Place your hand in the nail-scarred hand. Would you fall?
mission work, whether it be on our jobs, at school, with family, with friends, to share your love with someone who needs it. Just give us the power, enable us always, Lord, to share as we need to share. In Jesus' name, amen.